is working correctly. That is amazing. Welcome, everybody, to another Wheelchair Wednesday. My name is Wheelchair Rick. I'm a T3, T4 paraplegic. And we have yet another brave soul that's going to join us to talk to us about their life in a wheelchair and how they deal with it day-to-days and such. But before we do that, I'm going to play a video from our next guest, followed right by the intro. Then we're going to jump right into it. So let's go ahead and play this next guest's video. Check this out. All right. Today's guest, if you guys couldn't tell, I mean, he was in a sweet wheelchair. This thing will go pretty much anywhere you want to as long as you got the arm strength. I mean, he was towing a canoe behind him. That's something that you're not going to see every day. Let's just go ahead and talk to him about it. Let's get up for Mr. Ben Huntzinger. How you doing, Ben? There he is. What's happening?
Hey. Hey, how are you guys? Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. I own and operate Spartan wheel chariots.
Nice. Before we get into the whole wheelchair thing, because I know it's awesome, man. I mean, what you do, these things are super duty off-road like manual chairs. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became in a wheelchair and your accident and such.
All right. So I'm Ben Huntzinger. I'm 36 years old. I'm a T4. I've been paralyzed for this next month will be 14 years. And when I got paralyzed, I was using a regular manual wheelchair, and I thought, man, these things aren't really that awesome anywhere off-road. So how can I make this better? And I could get more deep into the story from that point on, but that's who I am. I'm a school teacher now. I just got my bachelor's degree last year. And I live in Thomasville, Georgia, which is southwest Georgia, right above Tallahassee.
Nice. Now, I know that we talked a little bit before we went live about you being a school teacher. Why don't you go ahead and tell us kind of what drove you to being a school teacher and kind of what you teach and the students and stuff like that so far as you've seen so far. Thanks for that share, Brandon. Appreciate you.
I always wanted to be a teacher, and so when I it's crazy how it all happened actually, but I've always had a passion to help people, and teaching. I've always remembered this high school English teacher I had, and I just liked his life, man. You know, he was all into fishing, and to me, I always looked at teaching as a good retirement job you could have a career at.
Right.
You always hear people talk about the benefits, and it's true. You have the state health benefit plan, and then once I got paralyzed, I was kind of geared towards something that was less physically demanding of a job, like versus going out and cutting timber. I mean, you could get up in a tractor if you wanted to, but it's a job. So something that was I could do in a wheelchair. And teaching, I've always wanted to be a teacher, and I never really believed in myself until later in my life. And after I graduated with my associate's degree in drafting, I thought, man, I'm not making money off the wheelchairs. I got to do something else.
Right.
And my first interview as a draftsman, just face planted. So long story short, I went into the education field, started studying education, and became a middle school teacher. And I've always loved the great outdoors. And right now, I got so lucky. I'm teaching about earth science, which is how the earth works, about space, plate tectonics, volcanoes.
That's right up your alley,
cool
huh?
Stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's totally the best thing ever.
Heck yeah. And you said you teach, what's that, 6th grade?
I'm a 6th grade science teacher. Yep.
Yep. So I'm going to jump into my next question that I had on here. Would you walk if you could? So this is more of a question like, if you can go back, you know, when you got injured, would you start completely over and keep going on where your life was headed, or would you stay where you're at kind of now, taking what you've learned and everything else?
Well, okay, when you say would you walk again, does that mean I have control over my bladder and bowels and walk? Or
No,
is it
so
just
this
walk?
is like, yeah, no, this is like, okay, so like, it's kind of complicated sort of, but like when you had your accident, right? This is going all the way back. When you had your accident, you take away everything you've done right now, making the wheelchairs and everything else, that came from you being injured. So let's say that day or that night you didn't get in that accident. Would you go back and live your life the way it was then and take away everything you've done so far now, or would you keep going the path that you're on?
That's such a great question, man. You know, it all led me to where I'm at now. And I tell you guys, I don't know if I ever would have been able to have the quality of life. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have very hard days. I have days where I come home just kicking mad. I'm mad, and you know, just I'm not fun to be around. But I don't know if I would be where I'm at right now. You know, I wouldn't want to change going back to that day. And I wouldn't want to lose everything I've got right now.
Right.
So if somebody said, would you give up everything? Would you give up your wife, your stepkids, your house, everything you've got to go back to that day and start again and, you know, not have that accident? I've come too far, man. It's not worth going back to that day in time to me. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Walking's a great thing. But
it's overrated. Right.
Yeah.
No, it's a hard question. I ask everybody that comes on here. I ask that question too, and it's something you got to think about. You know what I mean? I mean, depending on where you're at in life, I've had guys that are, you know, weren't that new into it that are like, yeah, absolutely, I would. But then again, it's just, it goes to show you, not everybody's life's the same. Not everybody takes it the same way. And you know, I hope that by me doing this and us doing this gives somebody else a reason to say, you know what, maybe I could do this, or maybe we should do this, or I could try that, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my next question to you is, the dating or married? You said you have a wife, right? How did that come about? Did you meet her after your injury, or were you guys together, or?
Yeah, I met her after my injury. We met.
So it is possible for somebody that's paralyzed to find a wife. Boom. No, there's been other people, but a lot of people, I see them get down. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just feel so many people get down on dating and stuff. That's why I had to do this question. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good, brother. I've seen that too. And I think a lot of people in wheelchairs that use wheelchairs I've met, you get a chip on your shoulder when the first 12 girls walked away or is not interested. But really, if you have a quality life, you know, I think that's what they're magnetized to.
Right.
If you're out living your best life, man, you'll find you a girl. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if anything, you've got an advantage. You've got, your ice is already broken to be able to have a conversation about. I mean, God, if you have a service dog, dude, you know, you got a way to talk to girls. Dog?
Oh yeah, you're good to go.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you might as well put a little piece
of
paper on them with a pencil that says, write your number down, and put it back in the dog's pocket, and he'll bring it to me.
Yeah, it's all about how you play your cards. It really is. I met my wife 4 years ago. I was actually getting my oil changed. Now I'm talking about, I've been through girl after girl, bad relationships. Just could never find the right girl, man. And I settled a few times with girls that I just, you know, was lonely and wanted to have a girlfriend, and
right.
It was not good. And
took what you could get.
Yeah, and now I've got the most amazing wife ever. She is a rock, and so we met post injury. I'd been paralyzed 10 years, and looking back, I think it was good that I kind of focused more on what I was going to do in my life, and then she showed up. If that helps anybody out there, you don't have to have the girl to live your best life. It's live your best life,
And the girl will find
accept
you.
who you are.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Love yourself solo and move forward with that.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer that I don't think anybody can love you until you love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like an aura thing. Next one I want to ask you is, what is your biggest pet peeve about being in a wheelchair?
Dang, that's a great question. There's probably more than one, but the first thing that pops in my mind, uh, this is stupid. When somebody leaves their shoes laying on the ground and I hit
Oh,
it, like, I'm
yeah, I
like,
do.
you
I
don't
hate that.
understand what people like. My wife, sometimes she's taking her clothes off in the bathroom and left it. And I have a routine, like you pull forward and back up to get out the door, and then there's a pair of shoes there. And I'm like, God dang, you just don't understand stupid stuff.
Right. Especially the casters. Like
So
if you got the manual and then you got the front casters that are wrapped up. I mean, the backs you can kind of power over stuff, but those casters you got to either pop a wheelie or spin them off or something. And then even me in the power chair, man, sometimes they get stuck behind the casters. Then I'm just dragging the damn thing across the floor or something trying to get it off. It's horrible. Wholeheartedly
and
understand.
also too, I gotta give a shout out to people that park in handicapped spots that are not using it for a medical purpose. That are just lazy or whatever. I gotta. I usually park out in the middle of the parking lot anyways because I don't want to deal with people parking close to the crane.
Yeah.
But that's something that just sorry people. Sorry people is a pet peeve of mine,
Yeah, I'm
and
with
I'm
you there
sorry
too.
too. Anyways,
Yeah.
you know.
For sure, they're everywhere. I mean, that's why I've started getting so used to just like if there's no handicap spots or somebody takes them over, and I mean, they always go over the lines. You know, what I mean, they're never like perfectly spaced. So what I'll do is I'll just go out and I'll literally park my van cockeyed sideways. So I'm taking up 2 lanes, and there's no way to block my ramp, so my ramp can come out and I can get out without having a car next to me. I've done that a lot. It seems to work pretty well. Now, don't follow my advice, guys. I don't want to get you in trouble with your car towed, but that's just kind of what I do. So my next question to you is, what is something that you wish you could do like now that you can't no more that you used to be able to do?
Running. I was a big runner for stress, and I go on pushes now, but that's just the first thing I think of. I would take off in a sprint if I
Hmm.
could walk again today right now.
I
I
remember
just
just getting that
missed
good
that.
sprint in. Yeah, just letting it all go.
Yeah,
Yeah, as much as you
yeah,
could.
yeah.
Yeah, I was never really a runner, but I know the feeling of running. Like I remember the feeling of running. I remember what it was like to feel your muscles hurting or just being stretched and your lungs expanding, and it's definitely a feeling that you know you can miss. Definitely for sure. Thanks for all those shares, guys, and those likes. Appreciate it. All of our viewers at home. And this is a live show. Like, if you guys are in, you guys got a question for me or Ben, just type it in, and we'll be happy to ask it, as long as it's worth asking. Next question I got for you, Ben, is, let me do this one actually. It's not really a question that I have on here, but it's on here. What type of wheelchair do you got, and do you have a name for it?
Good question. I do. I have a Spartan Chariot, and I've been using my own wheelchairs for probably close to 6, 7 years now. And it's named a Spartan Chariot. I was in a high school we were the Campbell Spartans, and my high school, looking back, it gave me a lot of my core strength to who I am. So I wanted to kind of pay homage to that, and
Right.
Spartan to me embodies that. And plus the movie 300, you see those guys. I mean, that's the way the Spartans were. Is they were no quit, never die attitude, and that
Right.
was what I felt like I had to, that I lived the journey I went on to learn how to weld, to create my own wheelchairs. It took, I, I kind of became a monster for a while. I mean, I wouldn't say monster, but I was a very passionate and I was consumed by this dream I had, and it took a lot of grit and determination to not stop when things weren't right.
Right. For sure.
So it's a Spartan chariot.
Nice. What about your pain levels? What kind of pain you got?
I'm one of the lucky ones, brother. I once I got out of the hospital, I didn't have much pain. Now, don't get me wrong. If I sit on a hard surface for a minute, my back starts killing me. But um, for the most part, I'm pain free. I've had some shoulder situation going on ever since I got hurt. I think it's something inside the scapula that's some kind of inflamed muscle every now and then. But for the most part, nothing.
Right. Hey, you got lucky there. Harold Force had never given. That's right, buddy. Um. So, yeah, man, I envy that. I definitely wish I did. I got 2 stabilization bars holding my spine together, T3, T4. So it's a little painful throughout the day, but I mean, right now, you know, you got the gabapentin and the pharmaceuticals, which I wish I didn't have to take, but. Oh, that's right, Stan. That's right. Sorry, Stan. That's just what your name says. You should put that on there. Stan, I got something for you tonight, too. Hang in there. Appreciate everybody watching. Let's see. My next question for you is, what helped you the most after your injury?
Exercise. Exercise to clear my head, man. I guess I've always been somebody that is just very stressed out a lot. And I think that going out to like nature trails and stuff near my house with my dog seemed like that gave me the best medicine. Writing and drawing were
Nice.
great. Looking back on it,
Did that kind of influence you to start building those chairs? Because that's what you love to do and you had to get back out into it?
yeah, man, I'm telling you, I used to drink coffee every morning, and I would get my writing pad or my notebook, and I would just draw. I wasn't that great in school growing up. I learned how to draw good from drawing in class, and I'd use that uh, to start drawing in 3D and putting all these ideas I had on paper, and then taking it to the hardware store with me and seeing what worked and what didn't work. So
Right.
exercise and yeah, exercise was a big thing for me.
Nice. Yeah, I'm starting to get back into that myself. It does kind of, once you get that blood pumping and you start thinking about it, kind of clears your head, gives you a minute. What is well, I guess we already kind of covered that. What was your hobbies before and then after your injury? I mean, do you still kind of do the same thing as you used to do? Or did you have to switch it up a little bit? Or
Yeah, I like to fish and exercise like run, and I was loved hunting. I was living up near Atlanta for a long time, and I, I got hurt down in Florida, and it was kind of out in the woods. And anyways, I continued the same life that I had. I had to make some adjustments along the way of where my wheelchairs were kind of lacking, like my standard tie light.
right.
It wouldn't let me roll out wherever I wanted to. So I do everything and then some.
Yeah, and we're going to put the links just so
so
everybody knows in the description. So, I mean, if anybody's interested in checking out the website or looking at the chairs, and they're super affordable. I mean, what's your base model go for? Like 750? Yeah, $750 to get you an outdoor reliable manual wheelchair that, I mean, if you get this thing stuck, you must be in some muck. You know what I mean? Because that thing's bad. I mean, I put that video at the beginning of this interview just to kind of show people and give people the idea. Yeah, is there anything else you want to say? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
I started selling them for 500. I still hate to say that they're 750 because the reason I started doing this was to help people. I figured out how to make one from going to Home Depot and cutting old wheelchairs apart, putting them back together.
Right. But I mean, still with your time and
So
effort, you got to make something. You know what I mean? People understand that.
yeah, it's basically, it just keeps the hardware on the shelf and gives me gas money. That's it.
Right.
I don't make anything off of it other than to keep resupplying myself over and over.
Right.
And that's all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah, it reminds me of a friend who you kind of do it because you see the person's face when they're so ecstatic when they get the finished product, and you're like, you know what, that right there was payment enough. It's admirable,
totally,
man. Yeah, it's admirable, for sure, to say the least. So my next question is travel. Do you travel? Do you like traveling? How do you travel?
Yeah, bro. Traveling and checking out other places and cultures is such a cool thing that I don't get to do a lot of now in life. Um, but one day I would love to go spend time in places that, you get to check out the local scene, like Anthony Bourdain style, and just go eat places. And
Right.
so traveling's tough, man, because I have to take a toilet chair everywhere with me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's kind of a pain in the butt.
that's That's a pet peeve. I've been talking about making myself my own portable, cool toilet chair for a while. I need to make it.
Man, if you come up with that, let me know. Something we could just fold up and slap in the back of the van instead of like a whole thing. You know what I mean? Because right now, like the one I got,
Yeah,
you can't like take it apart. It doesn't. It's just one big thing.
and it's just this gray, like
Yep.
grandma
Yep.
edition. It's like this is the best we can come up with. What? I
Right.
gotta have some camouflage.
Oh, I
This is
know.
not it.
Slap a paint job on that boy or something. Jeez.
Right? It's already degrading enough what we got to go through to use a bathroom. Let's make it cool, man. I want,
Right. Make it
like
so
when
when
you're
I'm pulling it out
when
of
you,
my van, people ain't looking like, oh, must be Grandpa Joe in there or something. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
Yep. What's up, everybody? Thanks for that share, Ben. What's happening, everyone in the chat? So, I guess I have one last question for you. What advice would you give to somebody who's been newly injured? So, like I said, like before we went live, when we wake up in that hospital bed, and the first thing I did was like I said, I went to YouTube to look. That person clicks on your video. What's the first thing you want to tell them for like a piece of advice?
I know it's hard. I know it's painful. But I can just tell you from my experience, it's going to teach you something about life that you are lucky to have had this happen to you. You'll have a quality of life that I can't say that I know a lot of people do that haven't been through a situation like we've been put in. And when I say quality of life, I mean you appreciate things at a different level. I'm not saying it's easy. It is hard, but that hard is what develops you as a person into somebody that down the road you're going to appreciate this happen to you. I rarely meet anybody that has had our traumatic experience and say that they would do it all differently. That most people I know, and I'm living proof of one that went from I was broke, barely got out of high school, had no college education, and now I've made a life for myself after my injury by making good decisions. And the emotional support is out there. If you are willing to put in the time and effort to get well, and I've heard us saying, learn how to embrace the suck.
Mm-hmm.
You can really go a long way. There's a saying, the world is your oyster, and you can literally do anything with your life you want to do still. Yeah, you might have to make some adjustments here and there on what kind of hobbies and lifestyle you're living, considering your situation, but you can still live a quality of life that's worth your presence as a human being on earth. You're still worth everything you ever were. You're somebody, and nobody can ever take that from you. Your spirit that lives in you, It's not breakable, and you have the decision every day of how you want to make your life. And if you want it, it can happen. And I can tell you that from my personal experience and what I've went through.
Nice. I like it. Well, Mr. Ben, thank you so much for sticking around with us today and talking a little bit about what you got going on and your life as you see it in a wheelchair. Like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to share all of your links and everything else. My buddy Stan, even in the comments, said send a pic of one, may be able to help with ideas. He's a fabricator, auto guy, does all kinds of different, stuff with old cars and stuff too. He's badass. So we're going to talk to him. We might be able to come up with something. All work together and kind of triangulate something. You never know. That's kind of what I like about these things. That's why we do the lives. So I'm going to put that in there, the description for everybody to kind of click on and check you out. We'll take care of that here in a little bit. And then besides that, we were going to keep up with you. So it might be 6 months from now. We might hit you back and say, hey, how's everything going? How's everything been? Kind of keep you close in the family. Welcome to the Wheelchair Mafia. You know what I mean? So besides that, what do you want to leave people off with, Ben?
Oh, man, God bless all of you, and thank you for your time. And if you ever need somebody to get you outdoors, I make an affordable off-road wheelchair, and that's what I'm here to do, is help you. Nice.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. If you are some of our fans tonight, if you're watching live at 7 o'clock, we do have something good going on around 7 p.m. Check us out. For everybody else that's watching us on podcast or listening to us on podcast, watching us on YouTube, check us out for the next Wheelchair Wednesday. Until then, I'm your host, Wheelchair Rick. For Mr. Ben Huntzinger, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.